What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we actually have some big news that's coming out today. Lawmakers, they are trying to get this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill done. They want to get this passed. According to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, they're going to try to get this passed tomorrow on Saturday. And next week, they will begin the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. Their goal, according to Senator Schumer, is he wants to see this get done next week. According to multiple people in the Senate, right now, the senators are just dotting their I's and crossing their T's. However, according to some reports, some are saying they are dotting their T's and crossing their I's. So we will see what happens, but as of right now, it's looking like a circus in the Senate. Although, what we do know is that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he does have a plan. Whether or not his plan actually, turns out and becomes a success, we don't know. But according to him, the Senate is going to pass the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill this weekend. It's going to happen on Saturday, and that's tomorrow. He also states that the Senate will then take up the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill next week. He also states he already has all 51 Senate Democrats on board. And I say 51, even though there's only 50. 51 includes Vice President Kamala Harris. So, according to Senator Schumer, he has the 51 votes needed to pass that bill under a budget reconciliation. So, we will see. Now, over the coming weeks, what we are hearing is that multiple experts are anticipating that we are about to see a flurry of additional proposals, that some are going to help strengthen the infrastructure bill regarding infrastructure. Some are going to go to the American people for stimulus for the economy and the American people, right? That's what we're hearing. The good news as of right now, and again, this is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, but the good news as of right now is that many lawmakers are stating they want to see additional stimulus go to the American people. They also say they want to increase the size of assistance in the $3.5 trillion infrastructure plan. Now, this is good news. Now, here I want to explain why. This is good news because lawmakers are saying they want to increase the size of the assistance within the $3.5 trillion infrastructure package. Not that they want to increase the size of the overall package. And I bring this up because multiple senators have already stated that the $3.5 trillion is too expensive. Some say they would support about a $2 to $2.5 trillion infrastructure package, not a $3 trillion plus. And so that's turning into a little bit of a discussion. However, according to Senator Bernie Sanders, that no bill under $3 trillion would pass because progressives wouldn't let it, and that is not something that he supports either. And again, he's one of the 50 votes. If he doesn't support the bill, he will not vote. It will not pass. So it will need to be over $3 trillion, according to Senator Bernie Sanders. Now, reports earlier this week indicated that many lawmakers are trying very hard to get the price reduced on the bill, but progressives are saying that if we reduce the price of the bill, they would not support it. Reducing the price is not an option at this point. Progressives also state that the entire $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill will be fully funded and nothing will be added to the deficit. But again, we will have to wait and see, because with the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, about $350 billion is estimated to be added into the deficit, which Republicans do not like. So, what I can tell you is that many lawmakers aren't waiting until next week to propose their different packages. They want to start to see these things go through now. Lawmakers can then go and throw their support and their weight behind them, and hopefully that will get more lawmakers on board. Well, here's what we know. There were 3 different proposals that were brought up last week, or actually this week and last week. What I can tell you right now is Representative Ilhan Omar. She proposed a bill last week that would provide monthly guaranteed income checks of $1,200. Okay, $600 would also go to every child. And it doesn't matter if you're whether you are an illegal immigrant or not. You would still get that $600 payment as a child. This, however, wouldn't start until 2023. And the actual entire bill for the entire US population wouldn't go into effect until 2028. So, according to one report, the reason for the 2028 timing is because it would allow the child tax credit payments to fully run out before Congress would get before this date, where Congress could then go and look at the data from the previous child tax credit payments and see how effective this was. But again, this is going off of the idea or the assumption that the child tax credit payments will get extended until 2025. And then after that, chances are, if we see success from it, according to reports, there's a good chance that this becomes a permanent fixture in the tax code. But again, we'll have to wait and see. What we do know is that right now, some are saying that they support this idea and that there's some backing behind it. Some say that this bill has potential, but it needs to get expanded, meaning that the idea behind guaranteed income, it does have a decent amount of support, but the dollar amount and the timing of this bill is what's currently in question. They say it's not great, so we will see. We also know that Representative Gwen Moore, she introduced legislation earlier this week as well to increase the earned income tax credits all the way up to $8,000 per year. Now, this would increase the amount somebody can earn up to $90,000 per year as well. So that right there, two big increases. The good news about this bill, though, is that this would be immediate. This wouldn't take 2 to 6 years to start to implement. And something else that I addressed yesterday is that there are currently lawmakers discussing this and potentially saying, hey, let's give $4,000 or $8,000, but let's do it as a monthly payment like the child tax credit payments. Let's do an earned income tax credit payment option where we can get the advance on our money. That would be a big boost to the American people. And again, this is something that wouldn't raise the deficit because this is money that's already going out. It's just an advance on that money. Instead of getting at the end of the year, you get monthly payments where you can spend it and you can get that consistent guaranteed income. So there are some talks that yes, this is a possibility. And I've been saying this for months. Earned income tax credit, that is what multiple lawmakers are looking at. And this was just the first bill that really kind of outlined this idea. So we will see. A couple of days ago, another proposal that was brought in front of us was by Representative Rashida Tlaib. She introduced legislation to wipe out all utility debt that was accumulated during the pandemic. What she is saying right now is that many people can afford to pay for their rent, can afford to pay for food, but they can only afford to do that if their utility payments are not holding them back. Some are saying that the rental payments, paying for food and other essentials, are holding them back from paying the things like water, electricity, and internet. Okay? So, what we're hearing is that this bill would ultimately assist low-income households that have struggled to stay up to date with their utility payments. The purpose of this bill is not just to get these people out of debt, is to provide faster and immediate relief. That's the purpose. Provide faster and immediate relief to the American people that have been waiting months and months for rental assistance funds, that are using up their child tax credit payments the instant that they receive them, and give money to people that are waiting around for the possibility of a fourth stimulus check. That's the goal. So, what we know, and again, you're going to hear a lot of reports on this, but what I want to kind of mention is that this bill is not just going to give you money. It's not just going to send you money. That's not the way this works. This bill, it's going to provide, all utility providers for water, electricity, and internet, and there could be other things added to that as well. But the key here is this would be a loan, and let me explain this, okay? Because it's very confusing to a lot of people. This program would provide about $30 to $40 billion to utility providers, but it would give them a loan. Okay, so let's say ABC Utility Company here in the United States. I don't know if that's really a company, but let's just say, we'll just say, Spectrum Internet, right? You have a bill with Spectrum Internet. Let's say it's $40 a month, $45 a month, right? Cool. Okay, but you can't pay that. You're struggling to pay that. So you actually are behind a few months. Well, what we are hearing is that this bill, this would be a loan to the utility company. The company can go get a loan, let's say for $1 billion, right? Let's say $1 billion. They're going to get this loan. And then they're going to go and they're going to cancel all debt, all the debt that their customers have, that they have accumulated over the life of this pandemic. And let's say that comes out to $1 billion. If that's the case, then the U.S. government, and under this bill, would technically forgive 100% of that loan because it was all canceled and it was all debt that was forgiven. Okay? So I know this is very confusing, but again, this is just a loan to the company, the utility provider. Then they would wipe out your debt. You would have no debt. You would have no additional payments, and you're good to go. Okay? So this is to pay off previous debt, not to pay for future expenses or future debt that you may incur. All right? So I know it's a little bit confusing, but this is a pretty good idea. This is a pretty good program. This is something that I think multiple lawmakers are going to get behind. So we will see as we know more, but this is looking a little bit promising. So now let's talk about the eviction issues and what we're seeing. Currently, the Biden administration and the CDC are getting a lot of heat from the federal eviction moratorium extension. This is something that President Biden stated initially he didn't have the authority to extend it again. The CDC said, no, we can't do it. And yet they come out and they extend it. Here's what we know. Many landlords are furious over this extension because they're saying there's a slow rollout in stimulus funds. They need the money and they need it now. Many landlords are saying that they are so far behind on their own bills that they will be losing the properties anyway. And so it's not just hurting them, it's hurting everybody. Some say that property taxes alone are forcing them under, and tens of thousands of landlords are calling on the Supreme Court to overrule this eviction ban immediately. Now, here's something that I stated a few days ago. This was coming from different reports. Well, we actually have confirmation on this. There was a chance that currently, the CDC eviction moratorium wasn't something that was legally done. There was a good chance of this. Well, according to reports, the Biden administration understands that the CDC eviction moratorium, this is not legal. This is not something that they can do. However, according to multiple reports a few days ago, their hope was that the eviction moratorium would simply stick just long enough to help protect those that were going to be evicted. Help protect those that are waiting for rental assistance through their states. Well, just yesterday, President Biden pretty much admitted that to the fact that he just wanted to buy time. That's all he's trying to do. Just give the states more time to send out this money to the landlords, because under the stimulus package, under their laws and the stipulation of accepting rental assistance funds, is you cannot evict the tenant. So by a landlord taking the funds, they are simply waiving their right to evict the tenant for X amount of months. That becomes another issue, and that is legal. By accepting the funds, you cannot evict the tenant. So that is legal. That can be done. However, if the landlord has previously stated, yes, they want the rental assistance, and now they're saying, you know what, I'm tired of this, I want out, no, keep your money, I'm just going to evict the tenant. They could essentially do that. However, under the current law with the CDC eviction moratorium extension, it is set in place where if you evict your tenant at this time, and this is in a county where we are seeing high transmission rates, then you as a landlord could potentially see up to a $250,000 fine and 1 year in jail. So, and there's two different numbers. If you evict your tenant, automatically $100,000 fine, up to $100,000. If your tenant or any of the occupants of that home were to die due to COVID, you would get hit with up to a $250,000 fine and up to 1 year in jail. So they're very strict right now. These are very harsh punishments, but at the same time, the point of these is to prevent landlords from evicting tenants at this time. So that's what we're hearing. It's not great news for landlords. This is really welcome news for tenants who are behind. But I've also been reading stories and even listening to some people here in the community that are landlords. Okay, and I understand, I sympathize with you guys that some are pretty much being taken advantage of. One person said here in the community that they haven't received their rent for about 11 months from their tenant, and just 3 or 4 months ago, I don't remember exactly when, about 3 or 4 months ago, the tenant shows up in a brand new car. So the tenant isn't paying for rent, they're not leaving the property. Okay, according to what the person said, the property is still in good shape. They're not, it's not being run down, or they're not messing it up in any way. But the tenant went and bought a brand new car. That is it. And so let me ask you this: if you are a tenant and you are struggling to pay your rent, are you going to go out and buy a new car, a new vehicle? Are you going to go out and spend money in excess that you really don't have, because you are now able to not pay rent and they can't kick you out? Is this something you're going to do? Is this right, or is this wrong? Let me know down in the comment section below whether this is something that, yes, it's acceptable, or no, this is just completely wrong and this person is taking advantage of the system. So I'm just curious on your thoughts, but that's what we know right now. There's going to be a lot of updates. There's going to be a lot of updates this weekend and over next week. I will do my best to fill you in on everything that's going on. There are some stories and some updates that obviously slip through the cracks because, well, it's just me. It takes me 2 to 3 hours to do all the research to do one of these videos. So again, I like to spend time with my friends, my family, my wife and kids, but at the same time, I want to keep you updated as well. I personally read these things all the time. I'm staying up to date on this stuff. Obviously, as a property owner, an investor, a business owner, somebody, just an American living here in the country, right? I want to stay up to date on all this stuff. So again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. If you could, go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's update. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.